What's up, guys? I'm going to talk a little bit about the stream that was released about a day or two ago with, I believe his name is Jeff Favignano or Joe Favignano. I'm sorry if I don't get the name right. Um, and the stream with the NASCAR Heat 2. So I'm going to get into it. And first, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that, wasn't all that good. Relax, guys. I'm not going to go all in. I know some of you are easily triggered when you hear some constructive criticism or any little thing. You don't want to hear anything negative. And if you're feeling that sensitive, don't watch the video. But let me just move on into it. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. But the first thing is, once again, the marketing. I don't get it. You keep showcasing this game with a hand controller. I know a lot of people use hand controllers, but we've seen a lot already with the hand controller. When are you going to let someone just play this with a wheel and pedal and give their input? I would have loved to hear Fabiano's input on this wheel and pedal. How does it feel? How's the force feedback? Right? This guy's a sim racer. I would have loved to hear his take on what it feels like. I was looking forward to that. No, hand controller. This guy doesn't play these type of games with a hand controller. And I know that deep inside he had to be disappointed, but he wasn't gonna come straight out and just rip these guys when they're giving him this opportunity. And I get it. I'm not gonna really go in on him because it's not easy. If a developer's giving you access to early access to play a game, you never see anybody go and then just like really point out with 100% honesty what they think of the game. They're going to try to be somewhat nice, right? So the analogy I would use is if somebody that you really like invites you to their house for dinner and afterwards they ask you how was the food, you're not going to tell them that the chicken was dry or that the food, was bland. You don't do that, so you be polite, right? So in a way, that's how I view this kind of stuff. So I don't have a problem with that. I get it. It is what it is. But come on, man. You got to at some point treat this game like a race title, just like these other guys treat their games. I know it's not the same games and all this stuff, but come on, man. It's a NASCAR game. Give somebody a wheel and pedal setup and tell us about how's the force feedback. How's the game feel with the wheel and pedal setup? Stop showing us the third person view. Give us some cockpit. That didn't sound right. Give us a cockpit view, okay? And treat this game a little more seriously in terms of how you showcase it. Moving on from that, I didn't see a lot of presentation. The only presentation we got is Keselowski calling you on the phone, and at least it's video. It wasn't like last year with the text and just a picture of a guy. I hated that. But and Keselowski's talking to you, whatever. It was cringeworthy, to be honest. Keselowski's a terrible actor. He's a great driver, but he's, I think there's a mindset that says, well, if we could get real NASCAR drivers to be a part of this game and talk to the player, that's great. Personally, and believe me, guys, I'm not making a big deal out of this. I'm just telling you what I think, and I'm gonna move on from it. So I'm not making a huge thing out of it. But I would rather see somebody, I don't even know who he is, but at least like let him be your manager, your agent, right? Or somebody playing as your crew chief, somebody calling you, talking to you, telling you the things that Keselowski's telling you, like, hey, watch it, man. This you're having problems with a guy out there. Whatever it is, it could be done better with somebody that knows, at least does a little bit better job acting, right? I'm really trying not to. I'm not trying to murder Keselowski, right? But he didn't look comfortable. It just didn't look right. How many takes did it take to get that? I mean, that was the best take, and it was cringeworthy. But it's not the end of the world. It's better than nothing. And I'm not being super negative about it. I just had to. Am I not supposed to mention that? So I'm talking about presentation, and that's all they've really shown us in terms of presentation. So that's kind of a red flag for me. And I do expect to see something more when the game releases, but it's weird. Like, they showed us a lot of things, and they haven't shown us hardly anything in terms of presentation, which was something that's been lacking, not just from last year's game. We haven't seen good presentation in any NASCAR game in many years. So that's another thing. The difficulty still kind of, I'm not sure about it. I can't tell if this game's challenging or not. Um, and there's also the question mark about the rubber banding, or what they called, I believe, the adaptive AI. I really was not a fan of it last year. I thought in theory it might be able to work if it was executed correctly, but at the end of the day, it just makes it kind of makes the experience feel that much more artificial. I just think you should set these cars up to be at a certain difficulty, and you should just race them as they are. You shouldn't get that added manipulation by, uh, by the computer or the console, just that's kind of changing what's happening on track to manipulate, how the race is going. And that's what rubber banding does. I'm not a fan of it. I hope that they really tone it down, or just get rid of it altogether. That's just my thought on that. But other than that, I didn't find anything else negative about it. And even these things that I did mention, I'm not super, super concerned about it, right? I do want to see some presentation, but maybe they're holding that back. And that's, there has to be more than that. So I'm going to leave it at that. But the good stuff that I saw, and I'm going to say one thing that I was super excited about, was the AI. It They spread out more, and that's been one of my big complaints about not just last year's game, but like all the Utechnics games. These games, they it's like the AI is always programmed to run in packs, as if they're at a restrictor plate track, and I hate that. And you could be driving lap after lap after lap, and these cars don't break up, and it ruins the racing. You got nowhere to run because they're all like on a rail. So I've talked about that before. That's a huge issue because it's part of the actual racing. That's part of the gameplay. So that's potentially game breaking as an issue, and it looks like they addressed it. The cars start spreading out right at just after a couple of laps. By lap 4 or 5, they're pretty much starting to space out, and they're not all running just at the bottom. I saw cars at the top, in the middle, in the bottom. So, and they actually said, yes, we've been working on the AI. So I love that. That's really super positive for the game, and exciting for me because it's central to the gameplay, to the racing. So that's been one of my big complaints, and it does look like they've addressed it, and I'm happy about that. That's great. The caution system, we didn't see too much about it, but there were a couple of times where it does seem like it works properly, right? We didn't see enough of it to know for sure, but he spun out once, and the caution came right out. And there was another time where the caution came out, and it was caused by the AI. And Fabiano actually talked about it, and he mentioned something that a lot of people want, including myself. I'd love to see a caution replay like we used to get many years ago. That would be cool, and that's also adds to the presentation of the game. So I'd love to see that, but it's not in the game, and that's fine. They made it clear, but the caution system does seem to be somewhat improved. Until you play the game, you're not going to know for sure. But I did see a few things that looked promising. And another thing that a lot of people don't really talk about, but the load times on the game look incredible. Like, I don't know how much of this had to do with editing, but it was a live feed. He was jumping from one race to the next to this to that, and everything was loading up really quickly, and that's amazing. I love that. One of the more annoying things about sports games in the past is load times, loading from or to the next race. It seemed to take long. You're sitting there, you're waiting for it to load up. This thing loads really fast. I don't know how they made that happen, but the game seems to run smoothly and load up quickly. So that's a big plus. It actually was pretty good last year. So it wasn't even that was one of the positives last year, but this looked really quick. So I don't know if it was me or did you guys notice that? I don't see much else. Like I skimmed through most of the stream. I wasn't gonna sit there for the full 2 hours and just take every little thing, but for the most part, it was more positive than negative. Like I said, the marketing. I I'm I don't understand, man. These guys seem dead hell bent on. It's almost like everything they do is with the thought of children playing the game. Little kids and playing with their uncle on the couch, and it's just their mindset seems to be really focused on that, and you're losing the hardcore fan base, and you're also, in my opinion, overestimating the casual gamer, the people that you seem to be marketing to. But even these kids pick up these games really quick, and they like a challenge. Okay, you know you got to stop dumbing things down. Um, but I'm really feel good about the game. This it looked like fun. The one other thing that still seems prevalent is at the road courses, these corners where you can like really charge hard into the corner and pass like 15 to 20 people because they check up. The AI does. That's been something that's always been an issue in almost every NASCAR game I can remember. And I don't know, I guess it's something that's really, really hard to fix, but it was there. And it kind of ruins things because all you got to do is really maintain throughout most of the track. And there's always that, one corner and sometimes two corners where you can really make up a lot of time because the AI checks up really aggressively on those corners. And it's really easy to pass like 10 to 15 guys in a corner. Something has to be done about that. But the road racing looked good too. So mostly positive. I can't wait to play the game. I'm really pumped for the game, even with the issues that I talk about. But it looks like a big step forward. I can't wait to see what's next. But that's what I thought of the stream. What did you guys think? And when there's new information, I'll talk again. So it's good talking to you guys. I look forward to the comments.